Looking to improve your life, brush up on your personal growth techniques? You are in the right place. Welcome to Life's Little Lessons with your host, author of Designing Your Own Destiny, Kevin A. Dunlap.
Hello, this is Kevin Dunlap with Life's Little Lessons, and welcome back to our show. Today I have a lady that I just met just a few days ago, actually, about a week ago, and I felt a great bond with her, and this is somebody I really wanted to be on her show, or actually have her be on my show. Her name is Christina Marie Weber. She actually has a company called Christian Biz Owners on Fire, and what she calls herself is a Christian entrepreneur consultant. And Christina, welcome to our show. Thank you for being here today.
Well, thanks for having me, Kevin.
Oh, my pleasure. I mean, it's great to reconnect with you. I mean, it feels like it's only been a week since we've seen each other.
I know. It's gone fast.
It has. So Christina, tell myself and the viewers and the listeners out there, what is it that you do and why is it that you do it?
Well, I work with Christian entrepreneurs, usually solopreneurs and micro business owners. And what I do is I help them bring abundance and money into their business while keeping their relationships a top priority on a daily basis. So I'm kind of a holistic business coach. So I'm not just the spreadsheet business gal. I really incorporate relationships, business, and God in helping clients really understand what their vision is. And then we just reverse engineer back from that.
So this is more religious based as well, or is it?
Well, my clients are faith based. That's kind of my gig. I've been a faith based marriage and family therapist for years. It's just kind of my worldview. So those are the clients that I work with. Now I do have people that aren't necessarily Christian, but are more spiritual. I have clients like that too. But part of what I do is I help them manifest. And to manifest, you really need to believe in my brand of God, but just a being, a benevolent being. You know, you have to believe in that really to be able to manifest the way that I do it. So.
And how long have you been doing the business coaching for?
Well, it's been a gradual transition over 5 to 6 years. I started actually 25 years ago as an entrepreneur with my marriage and family therapy practice. And really in 2008, I kind of made the switch gradually to moving into coaching. And last year, I completely eliminated all of the insurance-based therapy. I do some cash pay, but I've made the full jump to coaching now and consulting.
Okay. And are you happier doing the business coaching? You're not so much into the family stuff, or is family still a big part of it?
Yeah, it is actually. I had a hard time letting go of the therapy. It just wasn't profitable. My lifestyle, my life situation changed, and I really needed something that could support me and my family. I've always been a business kind of a coach-like therapist. I'm not the person that talks about the past and all that. We've always been kind of future-oriented. And when in 2008, kind of when everything dived, and even in mental health, the margins, which were already really thin, were just, I mean, you couldn't make any money. And so that's when I told myself I was going to take a look at coaching. And so I started, there's some mental health people that have special executive coaching training for people in mental health to coaching. And that's where I started the journey. So, but actually, I thought I would miss the intimacy of the therapy. I really love being a part of people's life like that and transforming. But what I do is actually the same thing. I mean, it's very personal. It's very intimate. So it's been a great transition. You know, I've done the other for 22 years. I was ready for a little bit of a change. So.
Okay. And was it, so you say it was a gradual thing that you were taking both clients on, or was it more of like a sudden shift and like?
No, it was gradual because you have to figure out your niche. You know, that was kind of one of my challenges, and we're going to go into that later, but trying to figure out, okay, what are my gifts and what are people willing to pay for? What's the white space in the marketplace? And so I went through, several different niches. They were all moving in the same direction, but now really in the beginning of 2016 is when I really landed the Christian Biz Owners on Fire. And I work with men and women. I was just working with women at first. And business owners, not just entrepreneurs. So that's just really, things really started clicking when I went kind of aligned with that particular branding and niche, because it's very much aligned with with who I am and what I do. So.
Now, are your clients more like starting out budding entrepreneurs, or are they people that may have been in business for a while and they need either a jolt or they are looking into a transition to something different?
Well, I just met with a guy who's been in business 30 years and he's transitioning. He's wanting to transition out and just, so yeah, no, it's really a variety. The key with me is it's small. I don't work with small businesses like 15 employees. I can't stand bureaucracies and things like that. Because of my marriage and family background, I'm really well suited to like the solopreneur, the micro business owner, because so much of your success has to do with what's going on between your ears.
Right.
It's how you think, it's your mindset, it's time management, those kinds of things. It's really being aligned with your vision. So that's my sweet spot. So that's why I work. So they could be new businesses, medium, old. I mean, I've worked with all. I even work with entrepreneurs. So people that are sales, like one of my clients is a sales manager in a company, but if she can produce more, she can earn more. So, but she is technically an employee, but she is an entrepreneur. And that's becoming more popular now. Companies are going with that because they want it to be dynamic. They want to encourage employees to figure out ways to bring more revenue in their company. And certain people like being employees and having a regular paycheck, but that potential to increase their income and shape their life. So that's another niche I work with.
I've never thought about that area because now is she kind of like a 1099 employee there?
No, she's a full-blown employee, but she's, what she can do for their company, if she can, that's what we're working on right now. If she can basically know where they're at now and do things to increase her value, she has a relationship with the owner that she could say, I'd like to be, compensated for this, and show her loyalty and value to the company, but also be compensated additionally for that. So.
Oh. And who's your ideal client? Who's somebody that you would say is your ideal client then?
Well, they really are faith-based. I have to say, just from who I've had, I'm Catholic, and Catholics tend to gravitate towards me. I mean, I do have Christians that are non-Catholic too, but typically, just because of this, my Catholic's kind of a whole culture and everything, so they tend to gravitate towards me. I'm kind of refining it as I go. People that are abundance thinkers. I can't work with scarcity people because they just can't make the jump. They can't. They're very devout in their faith. I'm into the thing. Have you ever heard of a lifestyle entrepreneur?
Yes.
I coined the term Christian lifestyle entrepreneur. So where basically God, your relationships, your life's in the center, and you work your business around that. So my ideal clients, they're like that. They're not just wanting to grow a business to grow a business. They really want it to be something that's really congruent with their whole lifestyle. Like I'm thinking of another client I have that she and her husband are doing a direct sales company, but their goal is for him to quit his job and then do this together. So it's not just that opportunity and making money, it's being able to do it together and travel, that kind of thing. Those are the kind of clients that I attract. And that's kind of what I am. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur. I mean, my business was very selfishly designed, to be congruent with my lifestyle, what I want. I think about that all the time. And if you set it up right, you can have a really great business that you love with a life you love, but you're not working all the time.
And yes, and I agree because I've actually said this a few times on, not necessarily on the show, but at least in real and live events is, when you're trying to look for something that you love, I said, if Monday morning at 9 a.m. is your favorite time of the week, then you're doing what you love. But if your favorite time of the week is 5:01 p.m. on Friday, then that's a different story.
Yeah, and I would just take it a step further, Kevin, because I absolutely love what I do. But really, what really jazzes me is my personal life. And I want to have a business that I can do my business, but I'm not drained and I have the energy and time for my personal life. And I was just at a networking thing with another therapist and I never did therapy full time. I was always part time. But doing therapy full time is super draining.
Yes.
It's totally intense with the client. And so by the end of the day, I was talking to this person. She doesn't have anything to give. I mean, she wants to go home and veg in front of the TV. I mean, I want a business and a life where I love it, it's energizing, but I have energy and time and space for people and doing fun things. I mean, I'm all about fun.
Yeah, I can see that.
At work or not. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is, yes, because I mean, I've known some people, because when I was in college, my minor was in psychology, and I was wondering, you know, when I was taking the psychology classes, would be most therapists, or excuse me, most psychologists and even psychiatrists, I would say would be the same thing, have to go see a psychologist and psychiatrist as well, because of all the negativity that they're getting through working with other people's problems. But if you're doing something more like kind of like what both of us are doing, because both of us are coaches that helps people that are entrepreneurs. I mean, that's kind of what I do. You do it there in Kansas. I do it here in Las Vegas. But you know, it's still a passion of mine. You know, seeing people's business grow. You see them. Let's say they go from a $50,000 a year just doing part-time business to $100,000 a year. Later on, it's like, you know, I'm seeing them grow, and I'm seeing what they're developing and making out of this. And yes, some of it can be negative, but like you were saying, most of the people are abundance thinkers. And when you're thinking of abundance, you don't really have big problems anymore. You have challenges, and you're overcoming those.
Yeah.
But
and I wouldn't say that therapy clients weren't abundance thinker. I mean, there's a certain honor to be with someone that is healing in a way that's helping them. I mean, difference between therapy and coaching. Therapy is when you're not functioning at a level and you're bringing them up to a level. Coaching, you're working with people that are already functioning really well and you bring them up a little bit, and that's tough. It's still transformation. So it's just, I actually like both. I like, but kind of the clients that I gravitate towards, I have a little bit of that still in my coaching business. The clients that have attracted to me, people that they're very talented, but they've had some things in their past or whatever situations that have wounded them. So I actually do a little bit of both. I'm not a therapist too, but I know how to handle that, the shame part and things like that a lot of entrepreneurs don't have. But my clients, some of mine do.
now, are your clients mainly local for you, or are they all over the world?
They're all over, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Most of mine happen to be local, and I'm just now venturing out into the space of online stuff. And I like doing the online, because either we're talking on the phone or we're doing kind of like what we're doing right now, would be a Zoom call, because I like to be able to see their faces. I mean, that's
Well, Zoom, it kind of makes it feel like you're right there.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, because a lady that I've done a few calls with, she's a master NLP practitioner, and you know, she's all about, because I wear reading glasses, so I'll be talking to her. She would tell me, "Take off your reading glasses. I want to see what your eyes are doing."
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And because you know, she's looking at my body language as as part of what I'm trying to communicate. So which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. You miss a lot when you don't have that.
Well, they say 7% of our communication are the words that we say, and another 20-something% is the tonality, and everything else is body language.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I used to do stunt stuff for theater. I would I'll put together the fight. It's called a fight choreographer, and I always, if I was ever able to watch the audience while the fight thing was going on, like I was up in the light booth, in the control booth, I'd be able to looking down at them, and I say, how engaged are they? Are they leaning forward? Are they like nail biting situation? Or are they leaning back and they're bored? So like, you have to try and read that. Yeah. Okay, and so you say you've been doing this for 25 years. That's phenomenal.
Well, the coaching in the last 5 to 6 years. Yeah.
Okay, what were some of your big ahas for yourself from doing this then?
Ahas in terms of
the things that you've discovered, either what people were going through, or even for yourself, like maybe something you discovered about yourself or other people from being in this business.
Well, if I looked at myself, how would I say it? I think, you know, they say as a therapist, I really believed in you're only as good of a therapist as you are working on yourself. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of something where you if you're going to be really good, you have to really be into your own self-growth and stuff. I have found being an entrepreneur is like a rectal exam working on yourself, because I had a lot of issues with visibility. I mean, I was used to being in an office by myself, you know, with the clients, And in coaching, you got to be visible. And
Yes.
I was very uncomfortable with that. And part of it's because of some things that were going on and stuff. So, and I guess because you're in sales, which I've been in sales before, but you're really selling yourself. And there are a lot of issues that would come up. I mean, I found the entrepreneur stuff brought up more of my personal issues than being a therapist all that time. I mean, it was really kind of that I had to work through if I was going to be successful. I mean, I'm okay with visibility now, but that was very difficult. So that was one thing I learned. And I think that was why I made different choices in my business. It grew slower because, and I made different choices. And I think that underneath it was I wasn't really comfortable with being visible. So I would kind of almost sabotage myself and do different things. And so I think it's interesting that way. And the other thing too is that I think as a doing what I'm doing, you have to grow. And when you grow, there's gonna be some casualties involved, because as you grow, certain people will grow with you and certain people won't.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a loss to that. You know, there's a loss, but there's a gain. And I think that's something else I've learned. I mean, my relationships have really shifted the more I've been committed to growing and being successful in my business. And it's not because I'm not available for people and I'm not, I don't value relationships or I'm working all the time. It's because they're not comfortable when they're not growing and they see you growing and taking risks and doing things. Basically you repel people that aren't doing that. You attract people who are and you repel people that aren't.
Yeah, there's a comedian that I saw, and I mentioned this on a previous show, and I don't remember this comedian because I've only seen him once. It was on an HBO special, so this one had to been at least 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And he made a joke, which was also he was being very serious at the same time. And the basic outcome was, when did other people's successes be your failures?
Yeah.
And as you're saying, if you're outgrowing some of your friends, like say you're growing your business as an entrepreneur and they're still working their day job and grinding 9 to 5, I can definitely understand them feeling uncomfortable to be around you.
And it's not really just the day job or the growing a business, because I've had to change a lot of things to be successful in my business. I've had to do some things out of courage that a lot of people wouldn't have done. I've had to. It's almost the personal risks I've been willing to take that, like, other people stay safe. They're playing it safe and they're reaping the consequences of that. I mean, I've done some pretty out there things that I think are really scary to people that I just felt like I had to do, and I think that's more what they're more kind of envious about, or just like it convicts them that they're doing things that are going to lead a certain outcome, and I'm doing things that are going to lead to a different outcome because I have courage to do it.
Well, and it takes a lot of courage to do these things. And one of the funny things, once you do it once, or I'm not exactly sure what you're referencing, but once you do it once, you probably realize it's not as hard as you thought it was going to be. It's actually
no, it's not. And what helps me is being around other people that are doing these things. They're like, that's why the support as an entrepreneur is so important. When you have other people who are like, oh, you can do this, and whereas if you stay around your same crowd, they're not going to support you in that way. They're going to want you to play it safe.
Well, yes, because I know in 2010 I started taking a lot of live personal growth classes. And I noticed that, for the few years after that, almost all of my friends that were not in personal growth in those classes kind of fell by the wayside. It's like, sorry, dude, I kind of outgrew you.
Yeah.
And the funny thing, what happens by surrounding yourself with other people, and this is for all you listeners out there, so by surrounding yourself with other people that have what you want, and then you will naturally start attracting that as well, is that you'll actually get a bigger support system. People will be there for you 100%.
Yeah.
When I was writing my second book, Designing Your Own Destiny, most people probably would have, if I would have hung out with my old crowd, would say something like, why are you writing a book? Who are you to be the expert on that subject? Blah, 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 blah. While my new friends would say, well, can I get a copy of it? Can I write a testimonial for you?
They're excited. They're happy for you. What I noticed is people that are really comfortable with themselves are really happy for you, and they want to encourage that. People who aren't won't say it, but they'll do things and say things that, in a way, it's kind of trying to undermine what you're doing. But it's really about them. And it kind of gets down to, if you're comfortable in your own skin, you're comfortable with someone else getting better.
Absolutely. I mean, I fully agree, and I've seen stuff like that tear marriages apart, and I've seen things like this that actually brought them closer together. And I mean, there was a friend of mine that came to me. She was talking about divorcing her husband, and she had they had a girl that was like 6 or 8 years old, and she was talking about possibly even staying together with him, and in a loveless marriage just for the daughter. And then what happened was, she was taking all these personal growth classes. He took the first level. She took all 4 of them, and she was wanting to do more and more and more. And he kept saying, "Come back down to my level." He's like, she goes, "I no." And that ended up causing a divorce, which, in my opinion, was probably better for the child, because otherwise that daughter would have saw what it was like to be, that's what she would have equated, in my opinion, what she would have equated love with. Within a year, the mom was actually married to another man, and they're very happily married right now. So it's because of that new husband and wife were on a new path of growth and enlightenment.
I think the ideal thing is to bring each other up. I mean, in a marriage,
But if one was refusing to come,
you can't. Everybody has free will, so.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I do try to surround myself with new and better, new people that have the things that I want. That's why I don't want to say better, because, but it's like the event you and I met at. I met some phenomenal people there, including yourself.
Thank you. Yeah.
And you're funny too, so that helps. So you've been doing this for a while. Would you like to share with some of these courageous things that you've done, that you've had to step out of your comfort zone?
Okay. Well, one of the things when I started in my coaching business is one of the things that was got into manifesting. I started to learn, because it's really hot in the coaching world. And for those of you that don't know what manifesting is, it's where basically we use such a limited amount of our really God-given ability, and manifesting is just to bring into reality something that starts in your mind. It's actually not woo-woo. It's mentioned in the Bible 38 times that the incarnation's a manifestation, the resurrection is. So I got into but it's very powerful. It's just like, you've heard of the reticular activating system, like when you want to get a Honda Accord, all of a sudden you see 1,000 Honda Accords. It's not there more, it's just you're focused on it. So I got into that, and it showed me some things. I started to be more honest with myself about what I really wanted. And it really got down to, I just wanted love, and I wanted to be loved. And that was it. I wanted to love and be loved. That was just, and then once I was honest with myself about that, and started actively manifesting that, what would happen is people that weren't able to do that fell out, and people that were came in. And so I think a lot of people aren't honest with themselves about what they really want. And like they say they want what they feel like they can have. And I guess what the courage I had was, I was willing to say, this is what I really want. And I really didn't have to kick anybody out. They just leave, when you're really honest about what you want. Mm-hmm. And then you're clear about it, and not demanding, but just inviting.
What's the state of being?
Huh?
It's a state of being.
Yeah. Like for example, I had a gal that was one of my closest friends. And when, basically I kind of made this commitment that I deserve love, and I want to be with people that will let me love them, and so, as I just kind of took the action on that and had some changes in my personal life, and this friend had a similar situation going on in her relationships. She just completely dumped me, as a friend. And we had a lot in common. We had, both of our sons are deaf, bilaterally deaf, and they both were cochlear implants, the same age. I mean, they're really good friends. And she just completely wouldn't have anything to do with me. And you know what? I guess I consider that courageous. I mean, rather than just be someone I'm not, or just pretend, like be in denial about what I deserve love. I just do. And moving forward with that, I guess being willing to let go of people if they're not, if that makes them feel uncomfortable, then that's not my problem. I guess to go for my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Is
Absolutely.
that clear enough? Or, I mean,
it is to some extent. I mean, I know I practice that I've done in the past is, like one of the first things I would say right when I first got up in the morning would be, what am I going to manifest today? What am I going to create into my life today? And I'm now listening to some music. I don't know if it was from the event that we met at, or if it was something right afterward. Something called binaural beats.
Oh, okay.
And it's basically music. I mean, they're usually 8 to 10 hours long.
Yeah.
And all it is just essentially a humming kind of music that is played. And it's supposed to help with your motivation, help with your creativity. A lot of them are actually, you play it while you're sleeping. You turn it on and then you go to bed and let it play so your subconscious will hear it. Yeah. I know for me, that I just started playing this stuff like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
So, and in the last 2 days, I started listening to it during the day, while I'm in my office here. It's not on, obviously, because I don't want the sound to be on. But when I'm not recording, I'm actually got it going on, and I have been so motivated at getting so many things accomplished in the last 2 days. A lot more than I normally.
There's a lot of, I use music a lot too, and I'm very sensory and do all of that as well. Yeah. There's another example I was going to give you. I just had an example today. Like you said, of being courageous and kind of intentional, as letting go of clients. I mean, my motto this year is I want to live deliciously every moment. So I don't want to work with people that I want to work with. I don't want to be around people. And I had a gal that was one of my early clients, and she was going to get started again, and she's going off and doing other stuff. And it was, I guess, courageous. I just let that go. I don't want clients that aren't aligned. You know what I mean?
And that's I'm so glad that you've come to that level, because a lot of people that are just starting out, and this is also for you listeners and viewers out there, take on just any client that's willing to pay you money. And that may be okay when you're just getting started, because you're hungry and you need to pay your bills, especially if you're just now leaving your corporate job. But you got to get to the point where you pick and choose who your clients are, because otherwise it's going to bring you down. It's going to be.
Well, they aren't happy. They end up not being happy because they really aren't wanting what you just like. My feeling is if you don't value what I bring to the table, or if you don't want what I bring to the table, then you need to work with someone else.
I don't do it at all.
because when I'm working with people that really love what I'm doing to help them, and it's like you said, it's very rewarding and exciting. And so I guess just being willing to let go of that, and even just groups or activities, just let go of stuff that, if it's not aligned, then it just needs to be let go.
Absolutely. And sometimes, it could be hard to let go because it's so ingrained into you. But like you said, it's not supporting what I'm in alignment with, or what I'm looking for my future. Then you have to let it go.
Well, and the other thing, I think in the last year or two, I've come to myself to be okay with completely being myself, even if people don't like it. I mean, I'm not abrasive or anything, and again, just letting go of other people that they're not going to be comfortable with that or whatever. It's just less work. It's just so much easier.
Well, and like you said, like you were doing the therapy, you want to be able to go home at night and not be drained. You want to go home at night and be happy that, that you've had a good day. Yeah. And if you're working with problematic clients, I mean, there was a guy that I used to work with in the past, and it was a little difficult working with him. I was able to work with him, but he was very, very draining. And is like once my last, this was on a real estate transaction, multiple real estate transactions. Once that deal was over, it's like, I'm done. Sorry, I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah. No, I really pay attention to my energy. And when, like, if I'm dreading calling someone or like, "Oh, I hope they don't want to," I really, pay attention to that, and what's happening is my life's way better. I mean, I have more energy. I'm attracting more of the people I want. I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm making more space for things that are fun. And so.
Yeah, and that's kind of the same with me. I mean, just like going to the Allison's event, there was a lady by the name of Diane Forrester. She's the one that told me I should go to the event, and I signed up for it back in October 2017.
Yeah.
And the event was in January 2018, and it was like I'm manifesting so many different things into my life right now just because I'm taking these risks. I'm keeping myself open for those things as well.
That's another thing I'm different about. I keep being much more open to, like, not, just paying more attention. I guess trusting my intuition, not having to be so rigid about what I let in, because I'm learning to trust my intuition better about what to do and what not to do, so I can be more open.
Okay. Oh, good. Fantastic. Well, I'm going to go into some of the other parts of the show right now. Now, when you were get started, I guess either starting out with your marriage and therapy company or with your Christian business coaching, could you tell the viewers or the listeners out there about some of your early successes? What was some things that you saw that said, yes, I know I can do this. I can make a viable living out of this.
Let's see, in my therapy or in my coaching?
Let's go with coaching because that's more recent.
Okay. I think the coach, well, I would say once I kind of aligned my business name, Christian Biz Owners on Fire, and then I started to attract the more ideal clients, I was collecting testimonials, and that was really, I guess I didn't understand my value. Like, again, my motivation for business was quite selfish. I wanted to have flexible hours, I want to do stuff I like, but I wasn't like super altruistic. I want to help everybody else. It was really pretty, I do help people, but that was really the motivation. And I think when I did that, collected that first round of testimonials, I realized what a difference I was making in people's lives. Like, you don't know your own qualities. I'm pretty confident, and I'm pretty although trust in God is actually something I have to work on a regular basis, but I still say I probably trust him more than most people. Let's put it that way. So, but people, I realized I inspired them to do things they wouldn't do otherwise, and just gave them courage. I didn't realize that I was having that impact on them, and I was making a difference. And, like, one of my ideal client groups is men 45 to 55, married, really growing spiritually, wanting to do more with that, but they're like providers, and they've got the health insurance premiums and the mortgage, and they feel like they can't make that switch. And one of the clients I'm working with, he was like feeling dead in his job. And so he's moving towards owning a sacred art business. His dream, but we're gradually transitioning into how you do all of that and helping them figure out that vision. That's exciting. That's life-changing. Someone that's been feeling dead in their job most of the time, and then now they're actually putting the pieces together for something that is so exciting for them. I guess that was a big success for me, is just realizing, look, this is bigger than me. I'm making a big difference in a lot of people's lives. Saving marriages. I had a client, they have a soulmate marriage. They are really loving partners, but because she's like more the main provider, she was so off balance and their life was so chaotic that they were looking at separation because of just, it wasn't working. And it's not because she doesn't love him. It was just so chaotic. And just the work that I was doing with them, helping them order that better. Creating order and helping her really be more, I know I've talked to you about this a little bit, but having the right masculine, feminine energy going on in the family and everything, that could save marriage. I have another client that, she's doing well in her business, but her masculine energy is kind of, it's really messing up their dynamics in their marriage. And I know how to help people with that. So in a way, I'm doing what my original mission was, is families and marriages, but I'm doing it with business owners and people like that. It's just a different crowd. It's like a higher end crowd of who I'm working with.
I mean, because no matter if you're working on family counseling, or if you're working on business coaching, that
Yeah.
they all bleed back over, because it bleeds all over all parts of your life.
Yeah. Well, and it affects generations. I mean, if you've got a couple that could go between getting a divorce and not, and work it out and really be a resource to other people, that's generational. I mean, that growth and that impact. Yeah, it's life changing. So that's when I realized, okay, this is a little bigger than just me, and it makes me feel really good. So.
Well, I'm glad you're sharing that, because the audience, I feel that there's going to be audience members listening to this that are going to be on the fence about, do they have the confidence enough to go and get that business started? And
Yeah.
in my opinion, I mean, I've said this before, that if you have a natural talent and you're not sharing it with the world, you're actually stealing from the world.
Yeah, that's true. And I realize one of my natural talents is people feel very comfortable sharing really vulnerable things with me, very personal things. And I think that's just being a therapist for so long. I've been like a priest in the confessional. I've heard everything, so I don't know. And what happens is because they say stuff to me, have never said to anybody that really needs to be worked on. And then I can be a resource to them. That's exciting. And that's a gift. Like you said, that makes a difference in many lives. And if I was hiding out my therapy office and not being visible, not doing the things that I felt like God was calling me to do, there's a lot of families that would not, and people that would be, I don't know if they get the help somewhere else, but I mean, I think that was my mission to help them.
Yeah, well, and you're on a great mission right now as well. And I feel the same for myself, and just trying to make that difference in other people's lives. And I mean, it's to me, it's so rewarding to see people do things that they originally did not feel or comprehend that they could do, and then all of a sudden they're excelling at it.
Yeah, it is nice. That's great.
That's a reward.
Just even the personal fulfillment of, like you said, just having a business. I have again, my people are faith-based, so some women feel guilty, like, well, would I be taking away from my family, or is it selfish? And I said, you're still a person. And if you have that desire in your heart, God put it there. And like, they struggle with am I being selfish? And I'm being too, like you said, and personal fulfillment is still a good thing. It's when you take it to the degree that I don't care about how this affects anybody else. That's when it's not a good thing. Right. But, when you can, that's why I think it's very important for entrepreneurs to understand this affects the whole family, and to really be respectful of the whole family. Like, your spouse may not totally be on board, and know how to help the person get them on board and be very inviting. So it can destabilize things, is what I'm saying.
And also starting a new business can also be extremely time consuming, especially in the early phases when you're just setting everything up.
Yeah.
And maybe, like you were saying, getting the courage to come out of your little office with no window and going to a major networking event.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what about, since we covered the successes, what about some of your early challenges that you overcame? Would you be willing to share some of those?
Oh gosh, there's so many. It took, and that's been a gift. I've had a lot of struggles. I had the wrong niche for a large amount of time. To have the right niche, you have to have a problem that you can solve. You have to have people who can pay for it, and you have to be able to find them and reach them and have access to them. Mm-hmm. So if all those elements aren't in place, it doesn't work. So, I mean, I struggled with doing that, and that was really frustrating. Then you have your spouse is going, when are you going to start making money? And, all of this, and you're having that pressure, and you're still trying to juggle everything. And it's incredibly stressful. So that was a part of it. I think my marriage did end. I've been married 24 years. That's something, I really didn't want to be divorced. That was really a pride thing. But because I am divorced now, what I realize is there's a lot of people that feel comfortable reaching out to me. And I'm very pro-marriage. So I really always take the approach of, do everything possible you can to make it work, and only exit when when basically there's no other way out, or there's no other. And I think that's healthy on a lot of reasons, because you're able to let it go better when you've done everything humanly possible. You can really be at peace with whatever. But what I realize is that because I'm divorced, people are willing to reach out to me that if I was still married, they wouldn't, because they'd see the white picket fence and they wouldn't think that I had, challenges or whatever. It makes my issues more public,
But it makes you more real too. That's the whole thing. Because if you're willing to share some of your pain with the world, then people can relate with you and say, okay, this person is safe to be around. This person I can trust. I mean, if I go back and, I'm back in 2007. When in the housing crunch, I lost my house to foreclosure.
Yeah,
I was very private about that. I mean, I didn't tell anybody, especially family, for about maybe 3-4 years.
yeah.
So, but now it's like, you know what? Yes, the house went from 550,000 to 225,000 in the course of a few months. And it's like there was no other solution that I had.
Yeah.
But now that people that may come to me and say, okay, I'm thinking about, I'm going through foreclosure. You don't understand. I go, dude, I understand.
Yeah, right. It's interesting in my business, the 5 or 6 years, what was really hard was when I decided, you have to be more confident in stuff if you're going to be visible. I mean, and you need to be congruent with what you're selling and what you're living. And I realized there were lots of things about my life I love, but the area in my marriage, it wasn't congruent. What was going on at home wasn't congruent. And that was part of what was hard for me to be visible, because I felt like I can't talk about this openly. And I felt like it was really affecting me. So in a way, when we did get divorced and everything, it's really kind of helped my business take off, because I could totally be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to pretend, or I didn't, that's like I could be myself,
So people ask you, how are things at home? Oh, they're great. They're peachy.
Well, I mean, I would talk about it privately, but I wouldn't, when you're doing a speaking thing, when you're right in the middle of it, it's just too painful. I mean, it's just to be up there, so yeah. So now I just feel so free just to be able to be completely myself. And it's just so much easier. But I think when you have stuff like that happening and you're not congruent, it repels clients. And
well, that's part of the whole, like you just said, the reticular activation system. I mean, you're not in congruence, or you're not in alignment, so you're not going to see that. So then,
well, the other piece of that, I had some fears about growing my business, because my spouse wanted me to make more money, but he didn't want me to stop doing everything, like there was going to be no support in that. So if I'm going to be doing speaking gigs and taking on more clients, I mean, how am I going to, there was kind of a resistance myself of how am I going to do all of this if I don't have any backup here or no support. So that wasn't, at least now I'm in control of my situation. I know what I've got, and if I need more support, I can get it. Whereas I really didn't have the support. So it's kind of like a barrier to growing.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I'm proud of you, and thank you for sharing that on the show and stuff. And I can understand because one of the things I have not told the listeners as of yet, and I know we'll be covering this in a few moments, is that you also have a radio talk show.
Uh-huh.
So how long have you been doing that for, and what's the theme on that?
Well, actually, one of my very first coaches encouraged me to do that. He was not really a good fit for me. I wrote a book at that time. It wasn't really the right time for doing all of that, but I learned a lot from him. But he got me to do that. So I've had a couple through the different niches, but I've done about 140 episodes, and I've done it over the years. Last year, I took the break I would take a break in the summer from doing it. It's a really good show. I really like the show. But I continued the break through December, and my mentor, I was almost not going to do the show. And because I was embarrassed, because there weren't many listeners. And I'm not, we just talked about this before. When you start talking about SEO, so that is just not my gift. I just have to have somebody else. I can hardly change a light bulb. Okay. I'm not mechanical. So I just was self-conscious that I'd had this show so long, and it's like, I was great at producing content, but not great at getting it out there. And what I realized today is I don't need to be great at getting out there. I need to generate revenue so I can hire people to get it out there. That's where I'm at today.
Well, and as you do more episodes, you're going to get out there anyway,
Yeah, but not the way that I want to be. So, but from her, I realized, it's not just the show, it's the relationship building you get from the show. And that's really powerful. And that's very true. I mean, it's a great, get to know you better. I mean, have an excuse to meet with neat people and get to know them better. And it does give you credibility. It's like, wow, you have a show, and, people like that. But I do have ambitions for it. I mean, I may have told you, I want to have it in the top 5 of its category. And that's a focus for this year. So I'm excited. And I think it can be a really great business generator from that as well. Mm-hmm. So I do see myself as a leader of a movement in what I'm doing. What I'm doing is a little bit unique with the faith and the relationships and the business. There aren't a lot of people that I've noticed that really combine it like I do.
And yeah, I agree with you there as well. And I also could see, like, let's say 6 months a year, or 6 months from now, a year from now, is doing a 3-day weekend where you, I, and other different kinds of, let's say, entrepreneur coaches, we are having a weekend to say, this is how I do it, this is how she does it, this is how this person does it, and then however the audience relates us, would be, because people are going to be attracted to you for your coaching for different reasons. They'll be attracted to me.
Totally, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of the things that I learned from the event that we were at, because what happened at that event is all of us got a chance to speak with a private coach of the lady that was putting on the show. And the gentleman that I went with, and we talked for like 10-15 minutes. He said one thing, and I've got it out here on my whiteboard, and it's just a little formula. And the formula was V as in Victor, V plus C as in cat, equals P.
Value plus
visibility plus credibility equals profitability.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So how visible are you out there? So the fact that you're redoing the show, just like I just started redoing Life's Little Lessons in October of 2017, after it was a podcast in 2016, but I was inconsistent with the show, so I didn't have a big following. And then in May, when I launched my 19th episode of my first season, I just didn't know it was the first season, that was just my 19th episode. I put it on the back burner. I didn't do anything with it until I had the idea in September to relaunch it, but I'm calling it season 2. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, this is like an episodic television series. They have their seasons. So right now I've recorded possibly around 40 episodes so far.
Yeah, that's great. You've got a big commitment to yours. That's awesome.
Well, because I'm looking at it as, number one, the listener. They have a great show to listen to. They listen to all these different women and men that are different entrepreneurs that they can learn something from. Hopefully, get them to move forward and do something different with their lives. Plus, it gives me visibility to all these different people like yourself, and who knows, other speaking engagements. I'm going to be on your shows soon as well. Actually, at the time of this recording, I will be on your show before this show is released.
I beat you. Just kidding.
And that's just more visibility. So if I'm on like I was on a paranormal talk show, I was on a Date Like a French Woman show. I mean, like thing mainly for women. I've been on a whole bunch on Wellness Hour, on a vegan show. I mean, I've been on a whole bunch of different things. But they're all still somewhat related, because it's not necessarily about entrepreneur coaching, but it's still about doing something different with your life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and that's where the beauty of it comes in. So I'm glad you got your show back online again. And if I can find any guests for you, I would love to send them your way as well. So,
yeah.
So as we're getting close to the end here, now, are there any fears? What would you say was your biggest fear that you had to overcome, either early on when you made this change over to the coaching versus the therapy?
Well, fear of letting go of the secure income. Therapy, I had plenty of clients, but it just wasn't profitable. And the time it took to take care of the clients didn't allow me to market the coaching. So I had to and that's really what happened last year. I just had to say, you know what, this is keeping me stuck, and I have to let it go. And so I really took a risk and just said, actually, my website went completely down. It's awful.
Well, that's a good way to change companies.
Yes. What happened, I'd had the same website for like 20 years. I'd really gotten the coaching going like January, February. And then I had my website completely crash. My email, we just redone it the year before. My emails weren't working, but some were. It was terrible. It was like my business went down for 2-3 months.
This is like 2013?
This is 2016. What's year? No, this is 2017. This last year. And by June, I said, you know what? I just need to just stop. And I just need to because I'd rebuild my phone. I mean, I basically was not working. It was such a nightmare. And I just said, you know what? I just need to let go of therapy. I need to just go for this. And that's what I did. And so, it's just making that decision. I guess that's kind of a risk thing, I would say, is just saying, failure is not an option. So I got to make this work. And I don't care, this was a challenge with the website. They were real jerks they lost everything. They weren't very helpful. And, it's like, this is part of the deal. And I'm just making that decision. This isn't an option to fail. So I just got to figure it out and just do what I need to do. This is the amount of time I have. I got to make this work,
Well, I'm glad you're doing it, but now you're doing something that you more love. So that's just.
I like that too. But yeah, I mean, I love what I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay, and now I guess I'd like to find out, as we're about to close here, is number one is if some people here that wanted to work with you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you? Now, is it a website or a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page that they can find you at?
You can message me through LinkedIn or Facebook, Christina Weber I or Christian Biz Owners on Fire. I also have a vision session. If you go to talkwithchristina.com, I'm really good at manifesting, and I do a manifest your vision session. And if you want to really dive in and get started, doesn't mean you have to work with me, but what I do is I help you really zone in on what your vision is, what's getting in the way, and try to offer you a couple of suggestions on how to move it forward. And it is a good session to see if we would be compatible to work together, if I could help you do your vision better. I don't work with just anyone. I have to really love your vision, because I'm all in on your vision. And then, it's a time for you to kind of evaluate what it'd be like to work with me. And then I'm all about ROI. I'm about getting a return on investment. Coaching is not an expense. It's an investment. You should be able to repay yourself for what you're paying. So we look at that. And so that would be a great way. If you're more serious, the talkwithchristina.com is a great way to just dive in with that manifesting vision session.
So it's TALKWITH and Christinas with the CH, so CHRISTINA.com.
Yep.
And then they can find you as Christina Marie Weber on Facebook or LinkedIn.
Or Christian Biz Owners on Fire. You can search that too.
Christian Biz Owners on Fire. Now, all of that will be down in the description below the video, or if you happen to be listening to this on iTunes, it will be at the very bottom of that big paragraph that iTunes does. Okay, and are there any other lessons that you've learned or that you'd like to share with the audience before we say goodbye to everybody?
Well, one of the things in your prep stuff, you asked, like, what was there any major major thing of why you do what you do? I'll tell you, I lost when I was 30. My younger brother, my only brother, was 29. He was killed in a car accident, and he had been multiply handicapped. And that really was really critical in forming what I do, because it made me realize, although I've always been pretty devout and no one would say I was super off track, it made me realize I had been putting things ahead of people. Not so much material things, but like achievements and stuff. And it just calibrated that, I never want to do that. I want to always put people ahead of things. And it's shaped why I do business the way I do, what my focus is. And I think that's why my clients like working with me, because they have that same feeling. They want to always put people before things, but still be prosperous and successful. You can be both.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. We're going to be wrapping up. Are there any other last words that you have before that you would like to impart, or?
No, it's been fun doing this, and had a great time, and it's nice getting to know you better. And
well, it's great. Yeah, it's great getting to know you better as well. And I'm so glad that because we met just at the last day having lunch, and we happened to be sitting out right next to each other.
Sandwich. That hamburger was awesome.
That burger was good.
glad you ordered that, and I copied you.
Yeah, with bacon even. So, well, Christina, it's been a pleasure getting to know you as well. I mean, I've only known you for like a week and a half, but I feel like I know you so much better than that. So, and I'm glad that you were on the show. I'm looking forward to be on your show. And I would just guess we'll just say, everybody that wants to get a hold of Christina, she has her thing called talkwithchristina.com. Is that a fee, or is there a cost to that?
Yeah, there's a fee for that. I charge $150 for that vision session.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And about how long is that?
I tell people 45 minutes, but to plan like an hour and a half.
Okay. So 45 minutes to 90 minutes, and for $150 to help you find your focus and what you're looking to do, and then also to see if you guys would be a good match or not. Sounds like a great value. Thank you. Well, Christina, it's been great having you on the show, and I'll see you around. I do appreciate it.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody. I see you.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Life's Little Lessons with your host, author of Designing Your Own Destiny, Kevin A. Dunlap. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit kevinadunlap.com, facebook.com/kevinadunlap.author, and on Twitter @KevinADunlap. We'll catch you on the next episode of Life's Little Lessons.